G'day, Lucas Mycroft here, CEO and co-founder of Tribu. I've got the amazing Dave Watson with me today. We've got a bit of an announcement, to be honest. This is Head of Partner Success, and I'm super excited to not just, follow Dave's journey over the last few years. When we first engaged with Dave, when we were implementing Autotask many years ago, but all the way through to then seeing, how he's benefited and helped MSPs around the world with his amazing Autotask and RMM knowledge. So the reason that we headhunted and approached Dave, and what we're really wanting to see, him coming into this particular role within the head of partner success within Tribu is just to help MSPs. We know the struggles of an MSP. We are an MSP. We have been an MSP. We totally get it, and so I'm super excited for having Dave on board. So I might just throw it over to yourself, Dave. Introduce yourself, and we'll kick it on. Cheers.
Hey guys, how you going? So you may or may not know me. I'm sure a few of you out there will know me from my days at Autotask and onboarding and that sort of thing. So I've had 20 years of IT experience. That makes me sound quite old, to be fair. I did start when I was 15 or 16, so there is that to go as well. But I've been in New Zealand for about 13 years. I've always worked in MSPs. It's something I have started with. I've had nearly 10 years of Autotask experience under my belt. I worked for large MSPs and small MSPs, and then with implementing Autotask, I've worked with hundreds of MSPs throughout Australia and New Zealand, and helping them get the best out of RMM and PSA and going through the basics, getting it all set up and that sort of stuff. So really excited to be here and see where this journey with Tribu takes me.
Yeah, love having you on board, man. So I might kick it off to start with. What first intrigued you when we were having a chat, six odd months ago, when we were kind of just in the midst of figuring out who we were and what we're trying to achieve. What intrigued you to stay in contact and then obviously now come on board and head up the partner success role within Tribu?
Well, I loved when we started talking, you had this idea around the product and how the product would interact with Teams and Autotask, and the really keyword for me was the AI, was the Talos bot around the back of that. It was just awesome. I really wanted to get back into working with vendors. So instead of working and helping just the one customer, I really wanted to get back into the helping lots and lots of customers, and trading off my multiple years of experience, if you like, within service delivery and making sure that they're good from there. I've certainly seen over the snippets that I've seen when we've had conversations and I've been going through my training and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I had to go through training again. It's an interesting world to be in the other side of that, to be honest with you. But yeah, the stuff that I've seen so far makes things so much more easier when we interact, when you talk to it via the Teams app, and it basically does everything for you. It's amazing. So you pretty much caught me there, and I've carried on to be really intrigued to see where this product actually is going to go, because it's really cool, really cool.
Yeah, love it. I love I love the passion from the last 10+ years working with Datto and Autotask, and seeing the journey that they've gone through with the acquisition, and then all the technology advancements within that organization, and then obviously now they're acquiring tech startup companies to bring it amongst the mold or the fold within the organization. So I guess you can see a bit of a journey of what we're trying to achieve over the next 3 to 5 years, and just help MSPs globally. And I love that key point you said before, not just helping one MSP at a time. In this particular role, you get to help hundreds, if not thousands, of MSPs to really put that efficiency into their organization. Which I'm really keen to dig into, if you don't mind. This has been your world. Autotask inside and out, and no doubt Datto RMM as well, more than most people in the entire ecosystem. What are the what you see from a foundational level, what MSPs do well, what they don't do well? Is there any tidbits or tricks or that you might come across that would just give the advances when it comes to setting up your MSP in the first place?
Yeah, so take the time to set the basics up. Biggest thing I could probably say out of the box. It does take a little bit of time to set up as well, and set up properly. Once you've got it set up, Autotask is a really powerful tool alongside RMM as well. as long as you've got it set up in the right way, you get your ducks in a row, it will work out wonders for you. Take time with your service delivery, plan out the service delivery stuff. So sit there and think about what your ticket call queue looks like, or what your ticket flow looks like. Because at the end of the day, we can all sit there and look at billing and go, are my billing codes correct? Am I invoicing properly out of Autotask? All that sort of stuff. None of that gets done without the ticketing side of things. So that ticket flow actually becomes really, really, really important. We can have a look at things like triaging tickets, fix it in 5, all that sort of mentality. They will probably be the biggest things I would get is people underestimating maybe the amount of time it does take, or being able to put the time in, and making sure the basics are set up inside Autotask. They're probably the 2 biggest things I take away from that.
Well, would you go back to like the drawing board as an MSP, even if you've been running for many years, and actually do like a process? Like, I guess, if I think about from my innovation journey, we process map out the entire structure, right? Well, when a customer phones in, or when a customer submits a ticket, and then process map out each of those steps along the way. Would you go to that degree? I'm just thinking out loud here, and then go, cool, that's the outcome I want to see when it comes to my service delivery or my service desk, and then implement that within Autotask?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. That's probably one of the first things I did when I went into my MSP role. Literally sit there and go, right, okay, how does this ticket flow work? Where do all the tickets come from? The different areas that they come in from. You talk, there's 3 main ones. There's tapping and shoulder tapping, which no one likes anyway. There's emailing and there's phone calls. They're the main ones that come through. So, we can add in things like client portal and Talos into that and all that sort of stuff as well. So sit there, work out how it goes, and then work out what the process is around that. So I'm a big fan of triaging tickets. At the end of the day, if you don't triage a ticket, you might be able to fix it in a couple of minutes. You might be able to fix it in 5 and then close the ticket down. Sweet, there you go. That's that job done and dusted. You don't have to worry about it staying there open for weeks on end. If you can do that, filter those ones out, then you're actually ready to play with the big stuff that actually needs more time and makes your focus from there. There's lots of ways of going and thinking about it around, sitting down and going, well, okay, how do I round robin the text so that everybody gets a chance to do triage? And then moving on from there, really, because it's all about retention. So the staff, the effort you want to put into those staff members, you want them to continue to stay with the company. You want them to grow and stay within, so you keep that knowledge base within your company. And again, that all starts with that really good foundation around service delivery, how your ticket flow works, all that sort of stuff. And again, that was one of the major things I found going into MSPs, starting out from that stage there, and actually having that go along. It made life a whole lot easier when they started to move. I've been through growth in a company starting off from 60 users, and 3 or 4 years later, I was running, I was trading number 400 just before I left. So that's a huge amount of growth, and the only reason that happened was because ducks were in a row. We had the processes there and all that sort of stuff. It's frightening growth, don't get me wrong, but we were able to help that grow and move that forward. So yeah.
So it sounds like you use the technology to do a lot of the mundane tasks, and that automation, that triage, and the stuff that probably a service manager delivery person would actually probably pretty much do, when you can use the technology, in this case, the Autotask and Datto RM combination to do that for the MSP, right? So if you if I'm understanding this correctly, if you get the structure right, put the process in place, set up the automation within the system. When you say you got to put a lot of time and effort, I'm thinking like tens of hours or hundreds of hours. Like it's like a really good solid amount of effort you got to put in to make it work for you. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, you have to plan it. So we all know the 3 Ps, but you have to plan that product cycle out. If you don't plan that delivery cycle out and how it's going to work, you're going to end up in a mess. So take the time to plan that out and see how that works to begin with, to save yourself heaps amount of time later on in the end. It might take a day to work out, a solid day, 2 days to sit down and actually go through the call flow and plan it. If you're doing greenfields, make sure you take that time. It's well worth it.
Yeah, cool. And I guess if I go from my experience this last 12 months, we've onboarded 50 plus MSPs all around the world using our platform. And one key thing that we've found is the workflows, the configuration, the setup of the workflows. Something that we've actually had to jump on in with MSPs and get it configured for them. Obviously, we don't have access to the system, but walk them through the steps, and realize that all MSPs, I'm only talking 50 plus here, so I'm not talking hundreds of thousands, but they all do things differently. They all do their own way of setup, the configuration. They do it slightly different. You worked inside the large organization, Autotask or Datto, for many years. Is there a best practice on how to do things, or is it literally out of the box and you set up to suit your own workflow, your own way of doing things?
So I'm going to have a really grey answer here, and I'm going to say it's a bit of both. So there isn't, the whole thing with the ITIL framework. If we go into that world, I'm not going to stick around and talk about that for ages and ages, because you can. But is you can take bits from here and bits from here and put them together and make it fit for yourself, right? Is there a standard workflow? Yes and no. My flow would be: call comes in, gets triaged, gets put to level 1 support. Level 1 support can fix it. Great. If they can't, they escalate it to level 2 support. They carry on with triaging and fixing level 1 stuff. All right. Ideally, that's the way you want to go. All the interactions that you can have with your customer can all be automated. All right. There are a lot of companies out there that won't do that because they like the touchy-feely talking to customers and all that sort of stuff. That's really critical, I suppose, when you're a smaller MSP. When you're a larger MSP and you're dealing with hundreds of tickets a day, that kind of doesn't work as well. So that's why I say there's a grey area there, right? It's not a one form fits all. There are bits you have to take from here and bits you have to take from here and mash them together to make it right for you.
And so it's like understanding where you are in the life cycle stage in your business, in your MSP, understanding that and what the components should be put in place to enable you as your the growth size, right? So if you're like 1 to 10 staff members, you do it this way. If you're 10 to 20 staff members, you might do it this way. If you're 20 staff members plus, you'd do it slightly differently. Different team leaders, different roles. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, I guess that's probably why we've seen such a variety when it comes to the configuration and setup. Yeah, from the APAC and some of the US partners where it's kind of very light on configuration, and yet over in Europe and especially in Germany, Netherlands, it's like full on configuration, and with hundreds of workflows set up within the system, which is quite interesting from our point of view, seeing it different. I guess the different points around that.
And I'm sure some of the hundreds of people that I had on the training sessions when I was with Datto, I've just given that answer, and they'll probably tell me, yeah, that's exactly the same answer that he gave me 5-6 years ago, right? So there isn't one size fits all. Just basically take your time and work out what that actually looks like for you.
Yeah, makes sense. And so obviously with a futuristic goal, which people still don't know if we can actually achieve this or not, but we believe, we 100% believe we can. You talk about the whole triage scenario and level 1, getting the tickets first before getting escalated to level 2. And we know they're super mundane tickets. We know that level 1 engineers just don't like doing them. Printers not working, password resets, computers running slow, all the absolute mundane tasks that level 1 engineers have to do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Our goal is obviously to automate that, and a really good portion of that by the end of this calendar year. And that will be a big component of that, that first responder, I guess you'd call it. What's your perspective and what's your thoughts around having an automated response and fix to that level 1 task using artificial intelligence before it gets escalated to level 2?
The 2 words, love it. I've been a level 1 engineer, right? This is probably one of the big things I can take to and bring into the knowledge that I'm actually and the things that I'm bringing to the table is I've been a level 1 engineer. I've been a level 2 engineer as well. I've been a level 3 engineer and a product specialist. As I said, it makes me sound old, but I've had the experience in the MSP industry, right? So, but yeah, look, those level 1 techs, we like doing those jobs, but they become mundane and they become monotonous and they become boring. We know that they have to be done. We get that. We understand that. However, we don't want to stick and do that. As I said, it's about that retention side of things, right? If you've got somebody sitting there who's just doing password resets and file, permissions and all that sort of really, disk cleanups, etc. You know what I mean? You've all been there. They're not going to want to grow when they come into the company. They're literally just going to get really bored and start looking elsewhere quite quickly. If you can take those tasks away from them, maybe give them a couple just to make sure, that they understand what's actually going on. Let Talos take care of it. Let the bot take care of all that sort of stuff. Let it run, the components in the background that needs to go and run so they can fix those problems. Your techs will then be able to concentrate on the meaty stuff that we all love to get into, the stuff that takes hours for us to fix, where we can just get into our flow and, heads down, headphones on, and see where we go from there. So, I think it's still good to at least get one or two of those through. But if you can take the majority of those away from everybody, then yeah, absolutely. I think it'll make a massive difference to the way the service desk works. It'll also, those automated things, they're not really making, massive amounts of return for you. The really big stuff is the stuff that you can meet into and actually have a proper look at it. So, that's where you're going to get the really good customer experience from. And then, taking the smaller jobs out of the way and having those done and dusted and pushed through by automation is just awesome. Really, really cool.
Which is, exactly what you just said before. It's helping both the engineer to get them to do what they love to do, is literally put a headset on and strategically think about solving problems, which is what engineers love to do. But then it's also helping the MSP, because staff retention it's so hard in this industry. Just finding really good engineers that want to. It's always been the difficult, we've always found anyway. It's really difficult to find really good engineers that don't just love the tech and love engineering, but also love talking to customers. Like, it's just that whole. It's just a tough position to be in. So yeah, cool. I love that opinion. And what you said exactly around, if those mundane tasks can be removed, they can focus on more advanced stuff and not have to talk to the customer at the same time, then win-win. Where do you see yourself fitting within this head of partner success and helping the MSPs, I guess, adapt and adopt, really adapt their platform, Autotask Datto, but then also adopt the Tribu solution? And where do you see yourself fitting in that grand scheme of things?
So, I mean, hands down, I'll bring my Autotask experience in, because it's what I do. It's my service delivery experience, and at the end of the day, this is a product that's going to help service delivery. It's going to make life a hell of a lot easier inside the company that pushes it through. So, I'm kind of here to help that journey along, to answer questions around the service delivery. Can we do this? Can we make this bit easier? Take the suggestions. The good thing with me is. The good thing is that I've got my foot in both camps. That's what I was trying to say. So I've got my foot in the Lucas camp, if you like, which, talking to the customers, making sure they're okay. But then I can also get my fingers in Dean's pie a little bit and just say, hey, mate, customers have been asking for this, and this might be a good idea, and that might be a good idea. So my taking away from this is going to be talking to the customers and actually talking to the partners and saying, hey, look, what would you like? Is there something that we could potentially do? If this is something that's really hurting you or causing you to stick a little bit, what can we do to fix that? Is that something we can automate? Bring it in and just say, hey, Dean, I've had this idea. Can we do something like this? And rolling that out. I'm actually looking forward to working with partners again, because I am, rather than help just one customer, as I said earlier on, I want to help as many as possible, and I love talking to the people out there. I mean, I can talk for England, so I'm more than happy to go to have those conversations as well. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. And I've already had messages reaching out to me. They're looking forward to jumping back on board and building up the relationship with you again, because it's been a while. 12 months or so since you've been out of the ecosystem. So it's the ecosystem again, man. Yeah. I'm going to throw a last curly one at you. And I love just doing these off the cuff without any preparation, because you just never know where the conversation can go to. Yeah. In your opinion, your honest opinion, what does the future of MSP look like?
Okay. That is a curly. I don't want to use the cliche COVID's changed everything, but it kind of has. You look back to the start of 2019. Or the end of 2019, in fact, I only just made it out of Melbourne before it went out to lockdown. Otherwise, I would have had to have stayed in Melbourne and had a cancelled flight there. So coming back into New Zealand and doing my quarantine and all that sort of stuff, it kind of gets you thinking, is, everything's changed around the whole work from home, right? So when I got back, everything started to kick off, obviously, as I sat down, and we had customers coming to us saying, can we do this with our call flows? Can we do that with our call flows? Because we've had to go work from home. So work from home, obviously, now is I actually think that's going to be the go-to model. So from an MSP point of view, you're going to have to use tools like RMM, and tools like Autotask a lot more than you probably would have had to have done, because you're going to have to remote onto those machines and record those interactions as well. It's not just about remoting onto the machine and fixing it anymore. You're going to need to record those actions, so the chart, the path that you've gone through, all that sort of thing. The use of social media platforms and the use of interactive platforms like Teams and like Xero. I know so many companies that have moved across to Teams now. I had MSPs before I was leaving that were actually all work from home MSPs. There was no offices at all for them. They all interacted via Teams, created all their tickets together, had the heartbeats, all that sort of stuff. So I think that the new model moving forward for MSPs is going to be based around work from home. There's no two ways around that. I don't see. I see companies rolling back on office space, if you like, and allowing that freedom, because you can really get that life-work balance as well when you start to do that sort of thing from there. And when you start, you can go out for your run in the afternoon and not worry about coming back and smelling the office out. When you're all sweaty and horrible. You can come back and you can have a shower and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So do you know what I mean? I really do think that the work from home thing is going to be more upfront. We're going to have to be working with more and more remote tools, and there'll be more collaboration around using Teams and Zoom and all that sort of stuff as well. So that's my gut instinct of where things will be going forward in the future anyway.
Well, we haven't chatted on this, but I've already been talking to MSPs over in the States, and obviously the US got heavily more affected than what we're pretty lucky here in Australia and New Zealand, even though we are completely locked down and we can't leave the country ever. But we're pretty lucky in that case, in that scenario. But yeah, I've been talking to MSPs in the States, and they've all had to adapt super fast to work from home.
Yeah.
And talking to some recently, they're not going back to their office. They've figured out a way to use technology to their advantage, to then everyone's now working from home. And even in some cases, some of the employees of the MSPs are saying, well, if this is the new norm with working from home, we've always wanted to move the family from this particular location to this location in the States. Yeah. So, hey, we've a few hinterland / mountain locations is where they really want to move their family to. And the owner's like, sure, go for it. And so now you've got this dispersed workforce. It doesn't matter where you live pretty much in the world now. I think it's a really good opportunity. I still think we have to consider mental health and being a part of a community and being keeping us sane. Like, for example, you're based in New Zealand. We might see each other once a year. Like, who knows what this whole COVID scenario looks like? Hopefully a bit sooner than that. But you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a remote scenario. Yeah. So we definitely consider mental health, but I do agree that this whole opportunity of being able to hire anyone anywhere in the world, any time zone, any location, just opens up a huge opportunity. But I don't know if people have really thought about that aspect to it as of yet. But yeah, I love your point. It's awesome.
So that's when you start. I mean, that's the sort of thing you can start to go into and build your MSP through, because you actually you're starting to go through follow the sun. So you can have a follow the sun service desk wherever you are in the world, and have people, as you said quite rightly, remotely taking care of those support tickets. So again, there's huge opportunity out there, absolute huge opportunity out there. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, man. Well, I love having you on here. Any final words to the MSPs that you're going to be supporting over the coming years?
I'm just looking forward to get back in and talking to people again, and from the community, because the MSP community here in APAC, and I've had a bit of exposure to stuff in the States as well, but certainly the APAC community that I've dealt with so far has been awesome. So I'm looking forward to. It's quite strange. It was quite strange going through the contacts list and going, oh yeah, I know that person. Oh yeah, I know that person. There was a couple from the States and Canada. I'm like, yeah, I've seen those guys as well. So yeah, really, really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it.
And I bet they're looking forward to having you back on board too. Anyway, man, I've said this to you multiple times now. It's super excited to have you on board. I can't wait for this this journey that we're about to embark on together, over the coming years. Bring such a wealth of knowledge to the table, and that's one of the main reasons we really want you on board. Plus, you're just an amazing human being. So, looking forward to the journey, man. Let's do it.
Thank you. I'll catch you soon.
Cheers.
See ya.